Okay, here's the first couple probability questions, and gee, they're pretty straightforward because take a look at this thing, 10.1. They say the probability of A is 1/3 and the probability of B is 3/4. And they say that these two events are independent. And whenever they say the word independent, if you write down this formula, you have the answer. And what are we supposed to do if they're independent? We're supposed to multiply the two numbers together. Because if their independence means the probability of A times B is the probability of their intersection, A and B. So what is the probability of A and B? It's 1/3 times 3/4. The 3's cancel. It's 1/4. Gee, if you know to write down the formula, it's pretty easy. The next one is actually exactly the same thing, because it says, what's the probability of at least one of the events occurring? That means it's either A or B, at least one, or A, B. It could be both, but at least one. Well, write down the formula. P of A or B equals P of A plus P of B minus P of A and B. Well, that's going to give us the answer. P of A is 1/3, P of B is 3/4, P of A and B is 1/4. If you know how to work fractions, you can do it pretty easily, or you can stick it in your calculator, and 1/3 plus 3/4, well, that's 2/4, and 1/3 plus 1/2 is 5/6. We can get that common denominator and cross multiply, and you'll get 5/6. And that's it. So when they said at least one event occurring, they meant P of A or B. And when they said independent, you had to write down that formula. Okay, last question is a tree diagram. They say the probability that it will snow on the Drakensberg Mountains is 5%. So if the probability that it will snow is 5%, the probability that it will have no snow is 95%, because it's got to add up to 100. They ask us to draw a tree diagram, and we've got started out pretty good here. They say that when it snows, the probability of the minimum temperature is going to drop below 0 is 72%. So the chance that it's going to go above 0 is 28%. See how it adds? And you just put those on the branches. That's how you make a tree. Now, if it doesn't snow, it says here, if it does not snow, the probability that the minimum temperature will drop below is 35%. So you put 35% for less than 0. And then if it's 35% being less than 0, you just go 100 minus 35. It must be 65% to be greater than 0. Well, there's your tree diagram and a whole bunch of marks just for making that tree. Represent the given information on a tree and clearly indicate the probabilities on the branches, just like I've done here. Calculate the probability that the temperature will not drop below 0 degrees. So it'll be greater than 0 on this date. Well, all you do is go down the tree until you hit greater than 0 and multiply, because these are that's how you work out the probabilities on a tree diagram. Just multiply. So you go 0.05 times 0.28. That's the probability here if it snows. And the probability when it doesn't snow is you go 0.95 times 0.65, where it's going to be greater than 0. They said the temperature will not drop below. That means it'll be greater than. And just multiply down the tree and add those things together in your calculator, and I got 63.15%, the probability that will not drop below 0. And there you go. That's the whole thing done.